Okay, before we dive into the main topic for the day, let me just tell you what's new in the world of ChatGPT, in case you're not aware. So I've been away for a couple of weeks, but just before I went away, 2 weeks ago, they announced ChatGPT agent mode, and that's got the potential to be really powerful. I say potential, in many respects, it's not, many things it's not doing as well as we'd like to think it should do, but there are still some really, really good use cases. So if you want to learn more about ChatGPT agent mode, I will be doing some training on that at some point in the not too distant future. So that came out 2 weeks ago, almost exactly 2 weeks ago, I think. And then for some reason, they've not put it onto their, on here, agent mode, for some reason. But the other thing, that there's been a couple of connectors come out. This is where you can now connect up to Canva and Notion, but that's with the Pro account. So it may be that's the $200 a month one. You may not have that. But I think of more interest is just 2 days ago, Tuesday, they launched study mode, and study mode, it says, is available in the free, the plus, the pro, and the teams plan. And that's globally as well. So this is great if you want to learn stuff. And again, I'll be doing a session on this fairly soon. But if you want to go and check it out sooner, then you should right now have access to study mode. You might want to play around with that. So that's the latest changes in the world of OpenAI, ChatGPT. Of course, as always, there's always lots and lots of new stuff across the AI world. It's extraordinary. It's hard to keep track with everything. For example, a couple of weeks ago, Grok launched Grok 4, and many people said that's probably now the best model. But we can guarantee that OpenAI have something up their sleeves and they're going to, and apparently in the summer, perhaps even August, OpenAI will be releasing ChatGPT 5. I mean, it's going so fast. But I'm not going to go through all the announcements of new stuff across the other models. Otherwise, we'll be here for probably 10, 20 minutes because I want to get into the content of today. But anyway, if it's ChatGPT you love, and I know most people in my audience do use ChatGPT, then you certainly might want to check out the study mode as well as the recent ChatGPT agent mode. Right, that's the new stuff. Let's get into today's content. So we're going to look at prompts that are going to save you huge amounts of time. We're going to look at 3. As you know, if you're a regular to my live streams, my sessions, or my webinars, you'll know that I'm a big fan of the idea of creating prompt templates. So let me just quickly explain what I mean by that. I am really into the idea of systemizing as much as possible in our business, automating as much as possible. And so anything we do frequently in our business, where AI can help us, where tools like ChatGPT can help us, then we can create prompt templates. In other words, standard prompts that we can use very easily to do a recurring task. And so I do recommend you start to build out prompt templates, have a place where you have the prompts you use most frequently. And when you have regular recurring tasks, it might be, for example, analyzing financial statements, anything you do frequently that's important, you want to make sure you have a really well-crafted prompt, because we know from prompt engineering that the better the prompt, the better the instructions you give, the better the result you'll get. And as I often say, we should think about using a tool like ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or whatever is your preferred LLM. Think of it as having a conversation with a personal assistant or a team member. And when we delegate stuff, when we give a task to a member of our team, perhaps your junior team member, we know that if we don't give the full instructions, we often get back not quite what we wanted. And then we end up having to go backwards and forwards, ask them to do it again. And very often when we don't get the result we want from a team member, it's often our fault because we haven't properly explained it. And it's just the same with tools like ChatGPT. The better that we explain it, the more context, examples that we give, the better the result we'll get first time and the more consistency we'll get in our results. So I'm a big fan in creating good quality prompts using prompt engineering. And in this session, I'm not going to go through the foundations of prompt engineering. That's a different topic, which I've done sessions on before. But what we want to do today is really make it practical. We're going to look at 3 different prompts. And one of the things that I recommend you do is start to build up a library of prompts. Start to think about what are the things you do regularly in your firm, in your business. It may be things around financial analysis, strategic planning, marketing, content marketing, pricing, and so on. Think about the recurring tasks that you do, and then consider creating standard prompts or prompt templates, and then putting them in a library or a prompt library. And the question people then ask is, well, where would I put them? What would I use as a prompt library? And there are many different tools that you could use. Essentially, we're talking about a database here. I used to use Trello. I love Trello, and some people use Trello as their prompt library. Some people use Notion. Some people, you might use Airtable as a prompt library. The one that we're going to use today, that I'm going to show from time to time for the prompts that I'll be showing, is one that's a piece of software that I created myself this year that members of the Value Pricing Academy have access to. And if you're interested, I have a way for you to get access to it as well. And what I've done is, over the last 18 months, I've written dozens and dozens, over 100, nearly 200 prompts, ready to use prompts specifically for business owners, and specifically for the accounting profession. And so we're going to look at 3 of them, and I'm going to pick 3 that I know you'll love. 3 that will help to illustrate some of the things that you can do, some practical use cases. 3 prompts that will also allow me to illustrate for you some things that you can build into your prompts, some techniques for creating better prompts. And then, of course, we'll obviously use ChatGPT to run those prompts. So let's look at number 1, the first of our 3, and I know that you'll love this first one. Certainly if you are an accountant, we'll start off with a really practical one. So if I go to the prompt library, one of the areas, if I just go to my filters, one of the areas that we can look at is we can create prompts for financial data analysis. And so I've written several of these. And one of these might be, it may be that what you do is once a year you have the end of year financial statements, the profit and loss account, the balance sheet, and it may well be you've got a meeting with a client tomorrow, perhaps even later on today, and you'd like some ideas on what you might talk about in that meeting, perhaps even a report that you can give to the client at the end of the meeting. So if I grab my prompt, all I need to do is select it. And when I get into the prompt library, there's a number of things I can do here. I can favorite the prompt or unfavorite it. I've got my instructions for the prompt. I can duplicate it and create a different version of it. And then down here, you can see the prompt itself. And as you'll see, it's a long prompt. Why is it a long prompt? Well, because, as I said, the better your prompts are, the better the results you'll get, the more consistent the results will be. And you might be thinking, yes, but I haven't got time to write prompts like that. And I agree. If it was for a one-off thing you were doing, sometimes a short, quick prompt is fine. But if it's a really important task and it's one you might do frequently, like an accounting firm owner might review a set of financial statements, then we might as well have a good quality prompt that's going to give us a better result, a more consistent result. And we'll look at some of the components of that prompt in a short while. But really all we need to do, if I just go back a step, is when you have a prompt library, which could be a system like this, it could be Trello, Notion, Airtable, whatever. Once you've got your prompts in a prompt library and well sorted, then it should be really quick to grab them. You just simply, in this case, I'm looking for financial data analysis. I'll click on it. I grab the copy button to copy to the clipboard, and it then confirms it's on my clipboard. I can go to ChatGPT, I can then do Control-V, and that's it. That's in about 30 seconds, perhaps even less. There's my prompt inside ChatGPT. And I could hit the send button, but that will be a bit premature. That will be too early because there is still some more information we need to give ChatGPT. So prompt templates are really powerful. They're like little systems, but we have to give it a bit of information. And for this particular prompt, there are two things we need to give it. If we're going to be analyzing financial statements, then we need to give it the numbers. And one of the things that we can do with ChatGPT is we can add photos and files. That's the plus icon here. So you can either click on that, or much simpler is I tend to just drag the file in. So I have a profit and loss account. It's profit and loss and balance sheet for a business. And there you go. It's just confirmed. It's now got that. That's been uploaded into ChatGPT. So it's got all that information. It's a PDF file. Could be an Excel file. I've done this as a PDF. So I've given it the information. I've uploaded it. That's the context there. And then if I go to the very end of my prompt, then as you will, you should give it other context and sometimes variables. We'll talk about variables in the next prompt. But in this one, I want to give some background information about the business. Otherwise, all ChatGPT has at this stage is just some raw numbers. And yes, it can do a good job of giving us some interpretation of those numbers. But we'll get a better result, better analysis, if we say something about the business. So I'm just going to get rid of this bit here. This is just giving it, this at the end, I've just put in this prompt an example of what to put in. And I'm going to replace it with something I wrote a little bit earlier. I'll copy and paste because it'll just save time rather than watching me type. So I'm going to give it, so it says here is some background information about the business to assist with your analysis. And I've just pasted this little paragraph in here. So I'm using a fictional business. It's one that my good friend Jim Rayner shared with me. And this fictional business is a fully licensed high street fish restaurant in Devon, in a made-up town in the UK. It's a seaside restaurant. It does fresh fish, run by 2 owners, and it's got a 5-star rating. So I'm just giving it a bit of information just so that we get a more meaningful report afterwards. And as a general rule, when we give context or background information, the more information we give ChatGPT, generally the better result we're going to get. Anyway, before I hit send this off now, which is it's now ready to send off, and before I do that, let me just tell you about some of the things in this prompt and some key things to build into your prompts. And the first one is up here. It says, oops, I've just lost it a second. It's just scrolled. Here we go. It says here at the top, it's done it again. For some reason, my mouse is not. There we go. You are a financial accountant with expertise in interpreting and analyzing financial data. So that's the role we want ChatGPT to play, or the persona. And one of the things we know from prompt engineering is that by default, a large language model plays a particular role. In the case of ChatGPT, it's a helpful assistant. And as a helpful assistant, it does a very good job. But we also know that if we asked it to play a different role, we often get better answers. So in this case, asking ChatGPT, telling it it's a financial accountant with skills in interpreting data, the response that we're going to get is the sort of response that we would expect from a financial accountant, which tend to be more detailed, more nuanced, a better response. So that's one of the things that I build into prompts, and you should do as well. Give it a role to play. If you want it to, if you have a prompt where you want it to create some marketing material, for example, then you'll want it to play the role of, let's say, a marketing expert. Then we've got the task. This is what we want it to do. In this case, is to analyze the provided financial statements with the following specific objectives. And what I've done in this particular prompt is I've then told it, what do I want it to do? What do I want it to look at when it analyzes this data? Because I could just leave it at that and let it decide what it will analyze, what information it'll give. But again, the more information we give, the more specific we are, and a key word here is specificity. The more specific we are in our prompts, then the better the result, the more consistent the result. So what I want in my report is I want it to identify any discrepancies. For example, things like, does the balance sheet balance? Little things like that. It may be, in this case, I want it to do some calculations, some analysis of the financial metrics, including calculating some of the most useful ratios for both the current and previous year and do some comparison of those and then give us some information about the ratios. I want it to also look at cash flow and efficiency assessments, so look at the numbers and see if there's any issues around cash flow efficiency that I might need to be aware of, that I could talk to the business owner about. I also want it to look at the costs and are there any significant changes in costs from last year to this year that I might want to have a conversation with the business owner about. Then a growth and risk assessment. And then finally, what recommendations could I give to the business owner based on all of this analysis? And then what it does is it's then got an example. And one of the core components of an effective prompt is to use examples, because large language models like ChatGPT are not intelligent. They simply look for patterns. They predict the next word. They look for patterns. So when we give it examples, then it will use that and follow it, and it'll guide it to the output. This is really useful, particularly whenever you want to create a standard report, a prompt that will create a report, any form of report. So this one here happens to be a report on the end of year financial statements, but any report that you might want to create to present to a customer, if it's a sort of report that you might create frequently and you want to create a prompt template, then give it an example of a report. So I've done exactly that here. There's an example that's of how I want to lay the report out. And that's most of the prompt. So when you saw that really long prompt and it looked a bit scary because it was really long, then the reason is because a big part of it, probably 50% or more of the prompt, is the example I've put in there. And then we've got our background information. So that's the prompt. Let's now run it. I've spent a bit of time talking, but let's just quickly think about how long this takes now. Once you've got a prompt template in mind, it probably took a matter of 15 seconds to find it in the prompt library, as I showed you, and to copy it to the clipboard. It then took a matter of seconds to put it into ChatGPT, and then just 5 seconds to import a file, and then to give it a bit of information. So I would guess 1 minute. Let's see what we then get from 1 minute's worth of work. So it's currently reading the documents, and now it's writing the report. And what it's doing right now is it's opened up a canvas. So if you're not aware of Canvas, it's a feature that came out in ChatGPT in November 2024. They brought it out because Claude already had artifacts, so it's similar to that. I love Canvas. It's really powerful. And what happens is, as you can perhaps see on the screen, is on the left-hand side you have your chat, and on the right, and you've got a little slider bar. You've got your chat on the left, and on the right is the output inside a canvas, which then means that you can further edit it, edit your report, and when you're ready with your report in the canvas, you can copy it and paste it into a Google Doc, a Word doc, whatever you prefer, and also you can carry on the conversation on the left-hand side. So it's going away, it's building out this report for us. I'm not going to read it all, but I will just show you some of the things. So we've got our financial analysis report for this particular made-up client. It's what it's done for the first part, discrepancy identification. It's looked at some of the key numbers. The conclusion is that the balance sheet balances accurately, no discrepancies in totals, which is great. And also the figures reconcile accurately. Then we've got some financial metrics analysis, and it's done a little table for us. It's done some ratios. We've got return on assets, return on equity, current ratio, and then the working capital. And it's given us a little interpretation of those numbers, which might be useful. It's done similar with cash flow. It's looked at some of the key numbers there, and it's looked at, and there's a conclusion here. It's referenced things like debtors. So if you're in the US or Canada, that will be accounts receivable. You can very easily change that. In fact, it'll probably know if you are in the US, it'll know that you talk about accounts receivable and inventory rather than stock. But if you had a prompt like this, when you feed it an example report, it will then copy the sorts of language that you use for your particular country. Then we've got cost structure review. It's looked at analysis of the different costs. It's done things like the percentage change in some of the key costs, labour and operating costs, and a conclusion. We've got our growth and risk assessment. And then we've got, at the end, we've got 5 recommendations for the business owner. And so it's suggesting that perhaps we should look at tightening liquidity controls, improving operational efficiency, strengthening financial reporting, optimizing the pricing strategy, reviewing capital investment strategy. And it may well be that you are happy with that as a report for the client meeting, which, as you probably can imagine, now took less than 2 minutes. We can simply hit the copy button and we can then paste that into a document. But there's other things that we could do. It might well be that you want to, if you want to make this report for the client, you could edit it, you could change it, you could highlight a section like this, and in Canvas you could ask it to expand on it to make it longer, for example. So one of the nice things about Canvas is that we can change little bits of the report. Also, another thing that I really like about doing this sort of analysis is that if there's anything that, let's say you have a meeting with the client later on today or tomorrow, and it's got these recommendations, for example, optimize pricing strategy, and you not sure what you might talk about with the client on that. So we could just simply then have a follow-up post. So it said you could just, for example, I could paste that. I could say, give me some practical suggestions for this. And then I'm just going to paste what it said. Give me some practical suggestions for this, optimized pricing strategy. And if I send that, it's then going to give me some practical ideas for what the client could do, the business owner could do in the area of pricing. Okay, that's the first example that I wanted to show you. And that report itself, if you create your own similar prompt template for analyzing financial data, then you can create in the example inside the prompt itself an example report that suits your writing style or the elements you want. They're just suggestions of, if it were me, if I was again in practice right now, that's the sort of things that I would want to have at my fingertips ready for the meeting with the client, particularly the recommendations, which is really powerful. Okay, let's move on to something different. And I talked about earlier that one of the things I love about prompt templates is that I see them as being little mini systems that allow you to do certain things like produce a report, a financial report, really fast in less than 2 minutes. I'm a big fan of systems. I remember way back in 1998 when I was running my sole practitioner business, I came across Michael Gerber and his book, The E-Myth Revisited. And that has such a huge impact on me. In fact, I would recommend that The E-Myth Revisited should be compulsory reading for every business owner because this concept of systems is so powerful. But I remember back in those days, I was doing advisory work with clients, and I had one particular client ask me to help them systemize their business. And I had no idea where to start because one of the things I do know about systems, and having read the Michael Gerber book back in 1998, is that in any business, there are just so many systems. It's kind of overwhelming. When you think about the things that we do in a business, there's probably over 100 things. There's marketing systems, there's sales systems, operational systems, and the list goes on. So if you want to systemize your business, if you want to create systems in your business, or perhaps you're an accounting firm and want to do advisory work and help other businesses with systems, then one of the things we can do is, again, we can use ChatGPT. And so if I go across there, if I just filter to systems and processes, I've written a whole bunch of systems, or standard prompts that can be used to build out systems. So the one that we'll look at is one called Process Map Builder. So this is a prompt that will enable you either in your business or if you're doing some advisory work, consulting work for a business, come up with some recommendations of the most important systems to have in a business across all the key functional areas. So as before, actually what I'll do in ChatGPT, I'm going to do a different example. So I'm going to start a brand new chat. I will grab this particular prompt, process map builder. It's here. I'll copy it to the clipboard. I will go across to ChatGPT and I'll paste it in. So it takes as long as that when you've got your prompt library set up. And in this case, what I often do with prompts is we have to make them, every prompt template is 99% the same, but we have to tell it about the specific circumstances, in this case, the specific business. And so what I do to, again, make life easy is I use variables in my prompts, and I always put the variables at the end. So I'm just going to fast forward right to the end of this prompt, and there's a section that says variables. And there's one variable, and that is business website, and it's prompting me to put the website. So I'm going to pick a business almost at random. This happens to be a UK restaurant business. I don't know them. I think they're in something like Northampton in the UK. No idea anything about the business. I'm just picking it as an example for this exercise. So if I was running this business, and let's say it was running a little bit chaotically, I might want to think about some systems to put in place. Perhaps I'm the business owner and I've just read Michael Gerber's book and I've realized I need systems. Or if you're the owner of an accounting firm, wanted to do advisory, and this was your client who's in a bit of a mess right now, you might be offering to help them systemize their business. So I'm just going to grab the URL of the website and insert it into my prompt. So that gives ChatGPT all the context to now run this prompt. And I could at this stage just simply hit the send button, the black button, and within 2 minutes of starting out this process, it will give me a full set of systems. But I'm not going to do that yet because I'm going to explain a few things about the prompt. So let me just go back to the top. So once again, we start with giving ChatGPT a role to play. In this case, it's not a financial accountant. In this case, you are an SOP, a SOP specialist, skilled in creating comprehensive and clear standard operating procedures, that's SOPs, to ensure consistency and efficiency in business operations across all functional areas. So that's what I want ChatGPT to play the role of. It's an SOP specialist, because we'll get a different answer, a better answer. Then I'm giving it the task. What do I want it to do? And in this case, the task is to analyze the business and build a detailed process map that identifies the key SOPs required across each core functional area of the business. And you'll notice here in the prompt, we have business website in curly brackets. That's because it's a variable. And if, as I go through this prompt, you'll see that variable is repeated in more than one place. So in step 1, it says review every page of business website using your browsing capability to thoroughly understand the business, its operations, and the industry it operates in. So why do I do variables? It's because what we can do is we can go to the very end and we can say, in this case, it's the URL for Casmic's restaurant. If we didn't do this, every time I ran this prompt, I'd have to search through for the placeholder and copy and paste in all the different places. And that can be time consuming. We might miss a few things. And so we can save ourselves a huge amount of time and turn these prompts into templates, reusable systems by using variables. And sometimes, as you'll see in the next prompt I'll share with you, we can have lots of variables. Sometimes it might just be the one. And what this therefore means is, let's say you're an accounting firm owner doing advisory work and you've got a whole bunch of clients that you're helping with systemizing their business. Let's say 30 clients you're working with. Then in probably about 1 hour, you could go and create 30 different process maps, because all you have to do is run this prompt 30 times, and just each time all you have to do different is insert a different client's website. Anyway, let's go back to the top. So it's an SOP specialist. We've got the task is to analyze the website, and it says you will complete your task by using the example to guide your response. And then what I've done in this particular one, and this is something that you want to consider doing with your prompts, particularly more complex prompts, is you can break down into steps. And if you want some of the technical stuff about prompt engineering, what we're doing here is called is called one-shot prompting, where we're creating a prompt that will create the answer we want first time around. So you don't have to do it this way. As you know, with ChatGPT and all large language models, you can always have follow-up prompts, and that's fine. But if we want to save ourselves some time, we can set out the steps in one prompt and do it in one go. So we've got, in this case, a number of steps. The first step is I want it, first of all, to review the website that we've given it and read every single page using its browsing capability. In other words, I want it to make sure it understands the business, what it does, what industry it's in, and so on. So let's make sure it's got the context. And then we want it to, in step 2, to identify the core SOPs, the SOPs. And I want it to do it, I want it to tell me for each of the main core functions of any business, I want the top 5. What are the 5 things I should focus on first if I'm building SOPs for this business? And I'm then being very specific that I want a 1-sentence description. And I also want it to give me 5 high priority SOPs in each of the core functions. And I've then defined them. In any business, including your business, the main things that you would always do is every business has marketing. They have to attract new leads. There are sales systems that then turn those leads into customers. There's then managing the money, the finance systems. Then we have what we do, the operational systems. If we have people, there's human resources systems. We have to give great customer service, so we should have great systems for that. Then increasingly information technology systems, administrative systems, and strategic planning. And then what this prompt does is it gives an example of the output that we are expecting. I've done it just for one of those functions. That means it will follow that because it looks for patterns, and that means we've got some sort of consistency in terms of the response that we will get. Okay, that's the prompt that we could run. And up until this point, if I wasn't talking, it would take about 60 seconds to copy and paste that, and to copy and paste the website. And it'll probably take another 10, 20 seconds for the result to come in. So in less than 2 minutes, we will get a process map for a business that looks like what we will shortly see. It takes a few seconds because it's reading the website, as we asked it to do. It's just confirmed a quick overview, which is great. That tells me it understands the business. It's in Bedfordshire. So we've got a bit about the business. And as you perhaps know with ChatGPT now and many of the large language models, when they do anything that analyzes the web, it does actually give you links through to where they got the information, which is great because it means we can double check things very easily. And then here we go. Here's our result. So in the area of marketing, it's suggesting that this business, the top 5 SOPs or systems or processes that we should focus on is advertising, planning, content creation. We should have systems for social media scheduling, market research reviews, and brand consistency. In sales, we should have reservation and booking management. That's important, of course, for a restaurant business. Lead generation and promotions, CRM and guest preferences, sales pipeline tracking, pricing strategy documentation. Finance, if you're an accountant, this will be obvious stuff, but these are all important for any business to have. Operations, some of these are really, inventory management is really important for a restaurant business. Having things like supplier and procurement systems, so steps to identify, evaluate, and order from suppliers, quality control checks. There's some great stuff here. And we need to have recruitment and hiring systems, onboarding processes, training and development. Customer service is critically important. Many businesses, many small businesses do not have customer service systems. And yet customer service is so important. So we should have systems for returns and refunds policy, for getting customer feedback, and so on. And then, of course, we need systems for our information technology, some admin systems, inevitably, and some strategic planning systems. So what we end up with is a lot of systems because there are so many. Every business, as I said, has so many things they do. And it can be overwhelming to know where to start with systemizing a business. And so having ChatGPT create a process map and then tell us which are the most important systems to start with will really help us to prioritize. And if you wanted to, you can have a follow-up prompt here. You could say, of all of these systems, what are the top 3 or rank them in order, whatever. So if this is still too overwhelming, picking the top 5, you could then get it to give you a plan. Or you could create a standard prompt. One of the things I've recently done is a complete training program on how to systemize any business with a series of prompts. So what we could do is run a standard prompt that then evaluates and ranks them using a well-known ranking system. And then what we can do is use ChatGPT to then write the systems and then to write the supporting documentation, such as standard emails, standard letters, standard scripts, checklists, and so on. So this is one of the things I love ChatGPT for. It's great for helping systemize any business, to write SOPs, to create systems. Okay, we've got one more thing I want to show you. Before I do that, I know there's going to be a question about how do I get these prompts, how do I get this prompt library, and I wrote this software earlier in 2025, and I've been writing these prompts. There's nearly 200 prompts specifically for accountants, accounting firm owners, business owners. There are almost 200 now, and I'm writing new ones all the time. You've seen 2 of them. And although this software is normally for Value Pricing Academy members, you can get a copy of it, a complimentary copy of it, as part of the AI Academy, which is a very small monthly investment. And if you're interested in getting access to the prompt library and including the prompts I'm showing you, I'll tell you exactly how to do that in just a few minutes. But let's look at one more prompt. And the third and final one we'll look at is a marketing one. So let's move out of our systems and processes. And I've got both marketing and copywriting, but also content creation, because content marketing is arguably the most powerful form of marketing. And so there are many things that we can do in this area in content creation. So this is things like writing blog posts, writing social media posts, doing webinars, doing live streams like this. There are so many things that we could do. We could write ebooks. So perhaps you want to create some content, but you need some ideas. So if you need some ideas, you could run a prompt. Anytime you need more ideas, you could run one that I've called content ideas. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'll start a brand new chat. And I'm going to paste this in as before. And then what I'm going to do is, so I don't forget, I always go to the variables first, because otherwise I forget I need to change these. And there's a number of variables this time, as you can see. And I've put, to guide people, I've put what you might put for the variables. So let me answer those variables, but I'll do it by copying and pasting to save you watching me type, which is like watching paint dry. So there you go. So what does this do? This prompt will come up with ideas for you for content, and you can choose how many you want. I'm going to go for 7 ideas, but you can have 10, 15, 20, however many you want. We'll go for 7 ideas. And specifically, I'll go with a blog post, but that could be a social media campaign. It could be an ebook, webinar, live stream. I'll go with blog posts. And then we've got the subject. What's the subject? What do you do? So if you're a bookkeeper, it may well be that your blog posts are about bookkeeping. Then what's our target audience? So I'm going to put plumbers, electricians, roofing contractors, and landscape gardeners. What's the sort of topics that you might cover? And it may well be things like essential record keeping, accounting software options, and understanding the data numbers. And then optionally, any other context. So I've just put in here, my business specializes in helping my target audience streamline their financial record keeping and ensuring they pay the minimum tax they need to. I thought I'd add that in as well. If we go back to the top, we've got our task, and I've told it that I want to create ideas. It's got to be relevant to the audience, and you'll see throughout there's all the variables here. So ensure that each idea directly appeals to target audience. Focus on their unique challenges, needs, or interests related to subject. So this one has a lot of variables because it saves a huge amount of time, which then means, of course, that if you want to do different pieces of content for different types of target audience, it'd be really easy to do, because all you'd have to do is you might want to, perhaps you target tradespeople, but also the medical profession, in which case you could then run this prompt twice and just change one of the variables. You could change target audience to and run it a second time for doctors and dentists, and it'll come up with another bunch of ideas for bookkeeping in that area, but for a different target audience. So you can see we've got step by step exactly what we wanted to do in the prompt, and then we've got the variables. Okay, I'm going to run this one and let's see what it comes up with. It's taking a few seconds just to think about it, and it should be off. Here we go. So here's 7 creative, impactful blog post ideas on bookkeeping tailored to help plumbers, electricians, roofing contractors, etc. And so here we go. Idea number 1 that we could write a blog post on is the pounds, or the dollars if you're in the US or Canada, the pounds you're leaving on the table, why tradespeople need better bookkeeping. And then it goes on to talk a little bit about what you might put in the blog post and some of the topics that you cover. If that doesn't grab you, what about receipts in the van? Here's a smarter way to track business expenses. Or perhaps QuickBooks versus Xero versus Free Agent. Which accounting app is best for your trade? How to read your numbers without needing a degree in accounting. End of year bookkeeping checklist for trades. What to do now to pay less tax. And then VAT, CIS and your accounts, what every contractor needs to know. And number 7, from dread to done. How one electrician took control of his finances. So there's 7 ideas there for blog posts. You could have asked for 10, 15, 100. And then what you can do is once you find one or more of those that you like, you might then have in your prompt library some other prompts for content marketing that will then help you to create the blog post for you. So there's 3 ideas for you that's going to save you huge amounts of time for things that you might do frequently. Analyzing financial statements and creating a report, creating a process map for SOPs if you are working with business owners and helping them with systems, and in the area of content marketing, every time you want to get some ideas for content, then you could run that prompt every month or every week and come up with new ideas for your blog posts, for your ebooks, whatever it might well be. So I'm hoping that you're now seeing that the power of having ready to run prompts that save you time and create consistent results. And you can see the power of having a prompt library, some form of database that enables you to find your prompts really easily, grab them, copy and paste into ChatGPT. And as I said at the start, you could use, there are many tools that you could use for your prompt library. Some people use Trello, some Notion, some Airtable. But if you like the idea of this particular prompt library, which when I wrote it, I designed it so that you can add your own prompts as well. And you can also copy any prompts I've written and create a different version of them very quickly. And then you can filter in all sorts of ways to find things. Like, for example, you might want to look at just the prompts that you've written yourself and find them. You could favorite them. I designed it for myself first because I'm using prompts all the time. And so this just makes it so much easier for me to find the specific little prompts or little mini systems that I need. So how can you access it? Well, if you're a Value Pricing Academy member, then you can get hold of the software anytime. If you're not, then one of the things that you might want to do is join the AI Academy. I founded this back in March 2025, just a few months ago. We're already up to nearly 190 members. It's a tiny, small monthly investment. And what you would get access to is firstly a community, which is a vibrant community full of people sharing great stuff in the area of AI and ChatGPT. It's also a place where you can ask me questions. I go in here every day answering people's questions. So you have access to a community. Arguably even more powerful is the classroom. I regularly create brand new courses. For example, my 2-hour course on prompt engineering. I know that many people love the privacy and security one, which is critically important. If you want to systemize your business, then I created a course just a few weeks ago on systemizing with AI, where I walk through all the prompts that you can run to systemize and create a process map, but then also write all of the systems really super fast. If you want to get into things like building custom GPTs or making sure you understand how to use ChatGPT projects and many more things coming as well. I've got a huge list of new courses that I am planning. If you're an accountant, you're going to love the next one I'm going to do in August, which is how to create a high-powered financial reporting pack. in just a matter of minutes. So I've created the prompts for that. I'll be doing the recording of that very, very soon. So in the AI Academy, you get access to the community, you get access to the courses, you get access to the calendar of live events that we run from time to time, and you can also get a complimentary copy of the prompt library, and that will include the prompts I've covered in this session today. There are dozens and dozens of prompts that you can use straight away. And that's, I'm finding in the community, people are telling me that they are loving the prompt library. And here's the big thing to be aware of, and I'll ask Sarah to put the link to the AI Academy into the chat. We currently have a founder member price because we've only been going for a few months, and the price goes up tomorrow by 25%. So if you join now, today, you lock in the price. One of the great things about this platform, I use the school platform because it's very easy to use, and I can see that the links in the chat right now. If you join today, then you lock in the price. It will never change for as long as you remember. We are putting the price up in 24 hours tomorrow, or less than that, just a few hours tomorrow. My time, the price goes up by 25%. So if you're interested in this, why not join today? Get it at the lowest price it will ever be. It's a tiny $47 a month at the moment, and with more content coming. Right, I think I've talked long enough. Let's answer some questions. So if you've not asked your question yet, now would be a good time. I can't see any questions on LinkedIn at the moment. I'm just checking. Nope, but I'll keep my eye up on that. Right, Anastasia, first question. Would ChatGPT be good at creating a report calculating a particular way of looking at cash flows from multiple Excel files? Yes, very likely, because you can give it, you can feed it more than one file. I think it's 20 files that you can put into a chat. So yes, what I have found is that when it comes to analyzing Excel files or spreadsheets, CSV files, I do find that sometimes it struggles a bit because it has to use its code interpreter functionality, and it takes longer because it will often prompt you to or tell you that it needs to clean up the data. If, for example, the Excel spreadsheet has fields or data fields that are not in the format it's expecting, it can confuse it. For example, perhaps the numbers are actually a text field, and so it sometimes takes a bit longer. I tend to find that if I'm analysing financial statements, it does a much quicker job and sometimes a better job analysing them if it's a PDF file or a Word document. But nevertheless, yes, it can analyse Excel spreadsheets. I think you just have to be careful with the prompt that you write. Give it a test. And if you, I don't know if you, Anastasia, if you're in the AI Academy, but one of the things I will more than happily do, and this is to anybody, I know there's some people here who are in the AI Academy now, like Randall, who's now made it to level 5. Randall's awesome, and he posts some great stuff. So thank you, Randall. Yeah, if ever, I love writing prompts. And so if ever you're struggling with a prompt, if you ask me in the Academy to help you improve your prompt, I will happily do that. The only thing I ask in return is if I rewrite the prompt and help you get a better result, as long as I can then share that prompt with the rest of the community, then I will gladly help you with the prompt. Rhino, hi there, from South Africa. AI Academy seems like school platform. Can Academy members also join school platform? Not 100% sure what you mean by that. The AI Academy is on School. I use School as the platform because I'm also a member of other people's communities that I pay for. And I just, as a customer myself on School, I just love the platform. I find it really easy to find the course I want in the classroom. I love the community. That's why I decided a few months back to use the School platform as the platform for the AI Academy community. So I don't know if that's answered your question. I mean, the other thing that's good about School is they have built into it a good affiliate affiliate process. And I did a live stream about a month ago where I talked about how accounting firm owners might want to build their own communities on school, perhaps to deliver business advisory work, for example. And we talked about the benefits of that. If you missed it, the live stream was about a month ago, or perhaps 2 months ago. And what I found is many people in the community have now set up their own school communities. Accounting firms have got their own communities on there. I think Randall's got his as well. And one of the offers I made inside the community is if anybody uses my affiliate link and sets up their own school community, then I open up a course that I've created where I will show you how you can build your own community of clients. Anyway, that's a bit off topic perhaps, so forgive me. There was a question came in from Maria, who's over on LinkedIn. So I didn't see it on LinkedIn. Why not? Anyway, what was the question? Mark, when you use ChatGPT for marketing purposes, for example, do you have to give credit to ChatGPT on your blogs, articles, etc.? Maria, no, you don't. You don't. I think what's more of an issue, though, is that when you are writing content using ChatGPT, you have to make sure that you've got good prompts, and also that you have spent a bit of time training on your writing style, because so many people are taking the lazy shortcut of using ChatGPT to do everything, and you can tell when you read somebody's content that it wasn't written by a human being, it was written by AI. I find it very obvious when that's happened. And so I think that the more AI writes content, the more people will stop consuming content. They want to read genuine content written by the real person. So what I do, Maria, is yes, we do use AI extensively, but when we create content, it's usually from a video I've done. We take the transcription and then we use ChatGPT to summarize the transcription. So it's using my words and my ideas. That's what I always recommend with content marketing, that it's based on something that you've done. But yeah, some people do take the lazy route. You can create lots of content with ChatGPT. You don't have to credit ChatGPT, but just be aware that other people, readers, might realize very quickly it wasn't you that wrote it. And I think when that happens, then the credibility goes down. I certainly, personally, this is a personal thing, but I have stopped now giving away my email address to get somebody's ebook, because I know most people use ChatGPT to write ebooks. And so if I'm interested in that topic, I will just ask ChatGPT to give me the result, to give me that, because unless I knew it was somebody, an expert I recommend, that I follow and have high regard for, if I sense it may be AI, then yeah, I'm not going to read something that's AI generated. And that's why I've said to people in my community, in the Value Pricing Academy, for example, for the last couple of years, that I think accounting firm owners should be thinking about video, because video's real, or at least it's usually real. Of course, AI video is getting so advanced now, sometimes you can't tell. But this is me, by the way. Someone did say to me in the AI Academy just a few weeks ago, they said, Mark, is that really you doing these videos, or is that AI Mark? And he said, the reason I asked the question is because you're always wearing the same shirt. And I then took a photograph of my studio from behind. I have here a coat hanger, and the nice thing about doing webinars and videos is you can't smell my armpits, and you don't. I live in Portugal. I've got shorts on. I'm usually shorts and t-shirt during the day, and then when I do a video, I just grab my shirt from behind and put it on to look a little bit smarter. And so that's why you will see I wear the same clothes in a lot of my videos, simply because it's convenient. But yes, interesting. He was saying, is that AI, Mark, or is that real? No, it is real, and I can pinch myself and it hurts. Okay, where am I? I'm going for a tangent. I think I was basically making the point, Maria, that you want to be real in this world, and not authentic. And it's harder to do in an AI world. I think people want more human connection. I think that we're going to get so overwhelmed by AI stuff. We want human connection. And so that's really important. I can't see another question. We have 3 minutes left, but there was actually one really important thing I should have said earlier, and I was expecting the question, and that is, please be aware, that first prompt I shared with you was financial statements analysis. And so if you're an accountant, you must, and this is really important, you must be aware of the regulations, the law around privacy and security, and particularly client confidentiality. You must know what you can and can't put into an AI model. You should know the differences between the different plans as well, because some are more secure than others. And so you want to make sure that you are being compliant. And if you are not sure about that, I did a complete course on that. It's in the AI Academy on privacy and security. I think it's about, if I remember right, it's between, I think it's about a 50, 60-minute course, privacy and security, where I went through in a series of 3 videos and an extra post and some workbooks what you need to do to be compliant. So just be careful. I should have said that when I did that first worked example with financial data. The second one I gave was that restaurant. I gave it the website. And just so you know, if you are doing client work with an LLM, you can feed it websites because that's information in the public domain. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions. We have 1 minute left. I don't think there's any questions. Perhaps Rhino's question. Rhino, I know you're in the AI, you're in the Value Pricing Academy. The AI Academy is separate. It's a separate business doing separate stuff. And as Randall said, he's joined both. Okay. That, I think, is it. I haven't planned the content of my next AI live stream yet. I have a live stream next week. I have a guest presenter for next week. My next live stream, I am open to suggestions as to what you might want me to teach you. So as I play out the music in a second, if there's something you'd like me to cover, put it in the comments over the next 3 minutes. One of the things I have been asked is to do a live stream on somebody new to ChatGPT. And it was actually my good friend Steve Pipe said he needs to use it more. So I am probably going to do, something on a beginner's guide to getting started with ChatGPT next. But if there's anything you want me to cover and teach you on a live stream, please do let me know. I'm open to ideas. Anastasia's already in the AI Academy, but considering VPA. So if you have any questions, Anastasia, please feel free to message me inside the AI Academy if you've got questions. Or you can email my partner, Sarah, and she'll answer any questions. Okay, that's it. We're on the hour. I said I finish on the hour, hard 60-minute finish. So I'm going to play with some music for a few minutes. If you enjoyed this, if you could just give it a thumbs up, that would be great. And also just put in the comments, what was the best thing that you learned? I'm going to play some music for 3 minutes. It gives me a chance to read your comments. So please let me know what's the best thing that you've learned over this session. Bye for now.